have no idea what the fuck.
Welcome to another episode of I Have No Idea What the Fuck. And this is another special episode where I'm going to be doing a simultaneous live stream on TikTok. So if there are any questions in that live, then I'll bring them to this episode of the podcast. But today we're going to talk about bringing down emotional walls. So I'm going live now. And I have it angled on me so that the camera can see me. Okay, the screen got frozen a little bit, so I'm gonna do a short intro of this while I wait for certain people to come in, because it may take around 10 minutes for them to come in, which is weird. So I'm just gonna kind of go right into it. So right now we're talking about breaking down emotional walls, and I didn't even realize I put this incense so close to the paper on this lamp. See my incense here? I gotta light it, man. It's gotta make the room smell nice. Trying to figure out where the hell to put it. Let's see here. I think this is a good place. We can put it here. That is okay, right? That is okay. Not quite. Alright. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna do what I normally do and just let the chips fall where they may. Man. Sucks. Sometimes it sucks trying to find a spot to. I don't have a holder. So basically, this episode is about breaking down emotional walls, and what inspired me to create this episode was a question from a follower of mine on TikTok. And so on TikTok, my username is G_awarenerd_media. And I had already done a post that went viral, got about around 6,000 likes, 5,000 to 6,000 likes, called Vulnerable. And I've talked about that in other episodes that I actually have just recently come out with. If you look at the episode Vulnerability and Relaxation, you can find some really cool gems there. But essentially what oh, hello, somebody came in and left on TikTok. So unfortunately, since I'm nearsighted and I'm not able to really afford a new pair of glasses at the moment, I'm going to have to kind of ignore people on TikTok a little bit. I may still pop in and pop over here and look. Like as soon as I did that, somebody came in. How you doing? So let us know where you're from and what your sign is. Okay, the person just left. So essentially, breaking down emotional walls was a question that a follower or someone that eventually followed me very soon after. They asked me, do you have any tips on how to break down emotional walls to get to vulnerability? Now, without having diagnosed or asked about this person's situation, it was a woman. I basically said that in a general way, you want to look at any emotion that is unpleasant, particularly anger, anything that you might be angry about. And that can be a trigger, that can be a doorway into your vulnerability, because anger is pretty much the guard at the gates. It's the overreactive guard that is, looking at everybody like, yo, you trying to fuck with me? Like, that's anger. And so because anger serves that purpose, you can simply see anger rising up in you, and then you can probe through whatever technique you'd like to use. And I'll be going through a few techniques here in this episode about, what are you protecting, and this is not something that always just happens in the moment. It's a practice. It's a consistent, constant practice. And I'll be the first to say that I get irritated at a lot of shit, man. I am not perfect, though. I have gone into the special world, and I've come back into the ordinary world. I'm doing my hero's journey every single fucking day. I wake up in the morning. First thing in the morning, there's a bunch of bullshit thoughts like, that period when you first wake up in the morning and your mind's completely clear and at peace. But if you've lived a life of being traumatized over and over and over and over and over, there's like this, what I've realized with my mind is that the tendency for my mind to go to traumatizing thoughts or negative thinking is like almost an addiction at this point. And it's not like something where, it's not something that's, it can be quite debilitating, but it's more debilitating in terms of, particular opportunities that could come my way, being able to forge particular relationships. And now I really realize that it's important to take seriously if I really want to forge relationships, which I do. I definitely want to connect with people in healthy ways. I have to really deal with that in a really awesome way. Like today, I felt angry and I just felt irritated for no reason. Like I literally didn't have any logical reason to feel anger. And so I started looking around and, basically becoming present. This is one technique. With anger, with unpleasant emotions, all emotions are just passing realities. I'm going to preface it with this. All emotions and thoughts are passing realities that your consciousness observes. We've forgotten this, and so therefore, I hope I got the volume up loud enough. I'm going to have to adjust it in post, but eventually, unfortunately, we've forgotten that we are actually observing our experience. We are not our body. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. So we identify with that, and that's what creates suffering. But what we can do is, once we're able to create some space from identifying with our thoughts, emotions, and body and generally through meditation, it becomes easier to do that in the moment. Meaning, like, you don't have to be to create that space in your mind. You just remind yourself. So today, I meditate every day, pretty much for the most part. And I was feeling myself I was just in a mood all day, and a lot of old feelings that came from childhood, like it was just all converging together. The intensity of it wasn't as strong as it usually is, but it was still very prevalent. And so it eventually came to a point where I was like, listen, nothing's happening to me right now. I'm totally chill. Like, everything's cool. I ate well. I had a good sleep. I'm ready to be creative today. And like, it doesn't matter whatever it's like. And I'm very intuitive, so I can pick up when certain energies are being sent to me at certain times and by certain people. And but yeah, and whether or not you believe in that is irrelevant. That's not really relevant to the story. But what is relevant is that I ended up saying, you know what, nothing's really happening right now. I was able to distance myself from what I was thinking in here and feeling, and I was able to say, well, I'm pretty chill. Everything's cool. I live in a nice place. I'm creative today. I'm having all these ideas. I feel alive. I feel vibrant. The sun is out. I get to go, I don't have a car, so I have to bike 7 miles into town and bike 7 miles back to, just to go to the grocery store, which I actually take a lot of pleasure in. And I never realized I take great pleasure in biking 14 miles every time I have to go to the grocery store. I don't always want to do it, and I don't do it every day, and it's cold on most days, but I enjoy doing it on days where it's a little bit warmer or a little bit more convenient. So I ended up basically deciding to just not give a shit on how angry I was or how angry I felt. It didn't matter because in this relative existence that we call the universe, we can come up with any reason why we feel angry and upset. We can say, oh, it's because of my childhood. Oh, it's because this person sent this energy to me. Oh, I didn't put up my shields. Oh, this person came around. It's like I could think of literally at least 3 to 5 different reasons why I was in the mood that I was, and probably all of them were true and all of them would converge. But the truth of the matter is, the only moment that matters is the present moment, which means there is no cause, there is no effect. There's just what you're experiencing right now. What are you going to do about it? And I realized that if I remained in this vibration, it wasn't really going to help me very much. Like right now, there's a thought coming up right now that's like, resisting. And I'm just like, I have to just watch it. So it's crazy. So one technique that you can do is definitely with meditation is to become, and most people, or not most people, but a lot of people don't sit there and are there quiet for 10 to 20 minutes. They not everybody does that, but I would suggest heavily doing that. But you become present. And so when you come out of meditation and you live throughout the day, it's easier to become present, especially with consistent meditation and if you've been doing it for years. Another technique it can be shared with another person. So you want to be with another person that you trust, whether it be an SO or a friend or a mentor, which could be a friend. And you want to communicate to them if you trust that they have the emotional intelligence to do this with you. You have to basically basically make them a accountability buddy in a way. It's like, hey, could you just point out the times where I'm getting irritated or frustrated? If just point those times out to me. Like, just ask me, why am I angry? Why am I frustrated? And maybe, if you feel like it, we could actually, you could actually ask me, or just we could discuss, and probe further into that together, because sometimes you need another mind with another perspective to really help you to become aware of, your situation. Because sometimes people, like, well, most of the time, people see shit about you that you don't see. So, and that's like just the truth. It's crazy. What's another thing that you could do? There are a lot of things you could do. Many times, if you really, really want to get present, this is probably a little bit more intense, but many times when we experience unpleasant emotions, we run away from them, and it can be difficult if we have a really strong attachment to particular emotions. Then if we're not very strong in our presence, we can create that into an actual reality, meaning you'll be angry and then you'll try to be present with it and just be, feeling it completely, and it'll turn into something that's something I feared with becoming present with my emotions. I feared that it would become too much for me, and then it would start becoming a reality. And that happened a few times, many times. Uh, but basically, what you can do is you want to be in full acceptance of the emotion that you're experiencing. Full acceptance. If it's embarrassment, if it's vulnerable, if you feel exposed, you mean like if you feel exposed. I'm talking about in the privacy. All these things need to be done in private. Need to be done on your own time. Certain things can be done in public, especially if you have a buddy, and if you just know how to check yourself, silently. But sometimes you don't want to do this. This is what is called shadow work. You don't want to do this in public. Um, Not because it's a cardinal sin to do it in public. You can do whatever you choose to do. But this society is extremely emotionally repressed, and if you do some of this work, it's very intense, and it's very it goes it's there's a lot of regression that's done. They might want to put you in a loony bin. When you start regressing and going into these emotions and experiencing them as a full somatic experience, people will be like, what the fuck is going on with this person? And you'll be totally aware of what you're doing, but a lot of people, they're not aware. They're not prioritizing inner growth, inner understanding, inner awareness. They're not doing that. I'm going to check the TikTok real quick. Hey guys, how you doing? Oh wow, cool. Nice to see you guys. Thank you guys for coming to the live. So basically, you want to become very present. You want to feel the emotion 100%. Just you want to embrace it fully. Identify the place or places in your body that you're feeling a correspondence with the emotion. Meaning, like when you feel the emotion, I'm feeling something around my eye right here, or I'm feeling. You don't want to point to it. You don't want to touch it. This is more of a like kind of a meditation. It's like, or I'm feeling it, at the, around my hairline, or I'm feeling it in my chest, or I'm feeling it in my lower back, or I'm feeling it around my kneecap. You want to be aware of that. Then I want you to breathe in extremely deeply, and I want you to have the emotion of completely diving into, or I want you to have the intention of completely diving into that emotion. Breathe in 100% and completely let the emotion just dive completely into it. Breathe as intensely as you feel you need to. Um, Sometimes you can breathe however it feels appropriate. Sometimes there's an intense breath, sometimes there's a gentle breath, but it's more like it's a strong gentle breath. There's going to be a certain strength to it, so it's going to be more like, and you want to breathe through the nose. You want to breathe through the nose, because the nose is the channel through which air is purified. So if you purify air coming in, You're going to purify whatever's going to be coming out of you. And don't think about, I'm releasing that energy. Just think about completely embracing it, completely feeling it. The air will do, the breathing will do the work of processing the emotion for you. This is a very, very powerful, very, very powerful technique. Um, and basically, that's not a situation where you're actually looking for the cause. That's a situation where you are simply dealing with the emotion as it is. You're not completely concerned with the cause. But the thing about shadow work is once you get to a certain level, you may have a series of practices that psychoanalyze the past, and then you may have a series of practices that say fuck the past. It's really up to you. Supposedly we're in the age of Aquarius. So Aquarius is about, I do my thing my way because I'm extremely smart. I know how I figure shit out. I know what the fuck's going on. So I'm going to do what I think is right for me because I can read myself very well. And it's not the age of Pisces where we're being told to have a codependent relationship with, no offense to anybody that might hear this, but an imaginary God. So we're seeing the God within, and we're making decisions about what kind of spiritual practices that we need once we get to a certain level, about what practices work best for us. I don't think that everybody is equipped to make a decision on what practices are best for them right out the gate. It's like tying your shoes. It's like when you first learn how to tie your shoes, you don't really get a choice completely of what kind of shoes you're going to wear. Your parents pick your shoes. They might say, hey, son, hey, daughter, what kind of shoes do you want? But generally, they're going to pick your shoes. As you grow older and you've tied your shoes enough, and you're like, wait a second, I can choose what kind of shoes I want to fucking wear. It's kind of a weak example, but you fucking get me. So these are all examples. These are 3 ways to regulate emotion. So basically, one is to become present and just become objective, very objective about your reality. It's like most people, they get mad just thinking about another person. They get mad just thinking about another person, but they're standing in the kitchen, nothing's happening, they're by themselves, or their kids are playing in the background, or the TV's on, nothing's happening. They're just getting mad from their own imagination and thinking that that's what they have to do. Many times, I'll tell you what my process has been with anger. It's like many times I get angry and I haven't talked to people in years, and I just allow the thought of them to just I've just allowed the thought of them to just keep making me angry because I was scared of taking responsibility for my own energy and stepping forward because I had no fucking clue what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And then number 2, anger, basically your personality or your shadow self will say, well, you got to stay protected. You can't just be happy. He's like, the person might pop out of nowhere and then you got to get angry. You got to make sure you're already angry to stay, on top of things and to be ready for them and to be on guard for them. And that's complete bullshit because it's proven scientifically that negative emotions downgrade hormones, meaning it cheapens the quality of your hormones. So instead of going to instead of going to like a Neiman Marcus or fucking Gucci, you're going to Walmart for clothes. That's basically what happens. Like if you let anger take over, if you let sadness and depression take over, I'm not saying to deny these states. We're not denying these states. We're just not holding on to them longer than they need to be held on to. When you hold on to these states, the quality of your hormones and your genes goes from Neiman Marcus, Gucci, Tommy Hilfiger 20 years ago, whatever's like high class, high quality, it goes down to Walmart. You're making Walmart proteins now because you decided to just stay angry all day. You decided to stay angry all week. You decided to stay angry all month, all year for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Now you've been making Walmart protein, and then people wonder why they're weak and they're sick when they get older because they've been holding on to this bullshit. And I'm not exempt from this advice at all. Everything that I talk to you guys about, I am talking about from experience. And that's why I can speak about it with such confidence. I am not perfect, but I'm here to share what I know with you. Hopefully it can help you. So essentially, those are 3 things to do. Become very objective about your surroundings, because very, very seldom is what you're angry about happening right now. 2, get an accountability buddy to point out when you get triggered, and maybe you guys could have a discussion about it. You could write it down, journal it, whatever. Journaling is another technique. And then the fourth one is a more intense way of becoming present. But you're not becoming present of your objective reality. You're becoming present of your subjective reality. And the truth of the matter is, these are not mutually exclusive techniques. These can all be combined together in a sequence, or on different days, different times of day. They can be used together. So I want you to walk away with those 3 awesome techniques. I want you guys to, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. And it's going to be up very, very soon, for those that are on TikTok. And I want you guys, please visit the podcast, donate to the podcast if it's giving you any value at all. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace. Subscribe to the podcast too. Oh, subscribe on YouTube, on my Anchor. Anchor is where I would subscribe, and maybe Spotify. All right. Peace.
I have no idea